As Donald Trump is bloodthirsty for war in the Middle East to prove that he's a tough guy, while the entire world realizes how weak and utterly pathetic he is, there's always a social media post or tweet from the past or video showing what a complete and utter fraud he is. But that shouldn't shock you. He is a complete and utter phony and fraud. Let's go back to the debates from the Republican presidential debates back in 2015, 2016. Remember when Donald Trump said the following to Jeb Bush? As the Tennessee Holler says, I don't know, maybe someone should show him these clips. Here, play this clip.
They lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction. Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake.
So
George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
But so you still think he should be impeached?
I think it's my turn, isn't it?
You do whatever you want. You call it whatever you want. I want to tell you, they lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right.
Our team at the MeidasTouch Network compiled this montage of clips showing that Donald Trump campaigned in 2024 and before as well on stopping endless wars. He would slam the Middle East conflicts, and he would boast that he's the one who would stop World War III. Play this clip.
These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad. We should have never gone into the Middle East. We should have never gone into the Middle East. Under my leadership, we will turn the page forever on those foolish, stupid days of never-ending wars. We're rebuilding our military stronger than ever before, and we are not going to deplete it again on stupid, senseless, endless wars. World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists and the deep state. I am the president who delivers peace. I was the first president in decades who didn't start a war. And the worst, most incompetent, most corrupt president in history is going to drag us into World War III. And this horrible, horrible president is dragging us toward World War III. We're going to be in World War III soon, because I think we would have been good with Iran. I don't want to do anything bad to Iran. Large sections of the Middle East. I mean, look at the death and destruction that's taken place. And none of this would have happened if I were president. Our opponents join with warmongers and neocons to wage endless wars, these wars that never end. Together we're fighting to secure our borders, end the endless foreign wars, and defend the working people of America. But the Muslim and Arab voters in Michigan and across the country want a stop to the endless wars and a return to peace in the Middle East. That's all they want. Speaking of World War III, I'll keep you out of World War III. What would happen if we had a war? We won't, with me, but you will have World War III, I believe, without me, but we won't have. I will be sure that World War III will not happen. I'm the only one can say it won't happen. But I stand here today, and I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily.
Again, there's always receipts and videos for everything. CNN put together this collection of clips of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warning that Iran was close to getting a nuclear weapon. 24 hours, a week. It's about to happen. Going back to 1996, we've been hearing this. Here, play this clip.
The deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. And Iran, by the way, is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years. By next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb. The foremost sponsor of global terrorism could be weeks away from having enough enriched uranium for an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons. That would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months, less than a year.
And what, 90 days ago, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, Trump's DNI, she said, according to the U.S. intelligence community, this was 90 days ago, she said that Iran is not capable of building a nuclear weapon and they're not pursuing a nuclear weapons program. This is what she said. Here, play this clip.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
Now, I want to be clear about what my position is. I do not want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. Okay. I do not think that the Ayatollah should be leading Iran. I also recognize that regime change means bloody civil war and that, in my view, American troops should not be sent into the Middle East to be a part of a bloody civil war in Iran or a war in Iran at all. Donald Trump has alienated our allies at the G7. He basically gave them the middle finger. The only, ally that Donald Trump has now is Netanyahu. And for just the U.S. and Israel to go it alone, pursue regime change, which can lead to regional destabilization, committing potentially American troops to an endless war in the Middle East without a plan. I mean, just think about what'll happen in Iran. Let's just say you topple the Ayatollah. No one likes the Ayatollah, okay? I mean, I look at those videos and photographs in the 70s before the revolution, and you see, women's rights, you see people out there, looked like a modern society, in the 70s before it became a theocracy. But play it out. So we already have the family and the descendants of the Shah saying they want to take over. You have extreme terroristic groups, even more extreme than the Ayatollah, who would want to take over Iran in a power vacuum. The people of Iran, in my opinion, are not going to be okay with Benjamin Netanyahu or Trump picking a puppet ruler to lead, or picking whoever their ruler is to lead Iran. So play it out what happens here. Play it out what happens. And if we're not reaching out to our typical G7 allies, what the hell do you think's going to happen?
Wow, it wasn't supposed to get this bad. You were on top of your bills. Then inflation hit. Groceries, gas, everything went up. Prices are up 26% from just a few years ago. 26%. It's not your fault you've fallen into debt. Let me share a smarter, faster, and far easier way out of debt. It's called Done with Debt. And they're not like other debt relief companies. They don't push loans or bankruptcy on you. Done with Debt are legendary negotiators who go head to head with your credit card and loan companies. They have one goal: to drastically reduce or eliminate your debt altogether. And unlike those others, Done with Debt moves lightning fast. Most clients see more money in their pocket month one. But a word to the wise, hurry, because some of their brilliant debt erasing strategies are time sensitive. Do not make another bill payment until you talk to a Done With Debt strategist. It's free. Visit donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Donewithdebt.com.
But by the way, as the Tennessee Holler account points out, it's not just Netanyahu. The New York Times has been warning of a nuclear Iran for 30 years also. Now, as I've said before, I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, period, full stop. But I want to make sure we're getting accurate info and we're not getting played like the WMDs in Iraq. And this is going to be Iraq, times 10. Here, play this clip. So Donald Trump was asked when he was flying back from the G7 because he was too cowardly to spend Tuesday to be with President Zelensky. Trump was asked, your own director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, testified in March that Iran was not building nuclear weapons. And Trump's response was, I don't care what she's saying. Play this clip.
But how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
Or Donald, maybe you want to watch this video of yourself when Obama was in office, when you said, oh, our president will start a war with Iran because he's so stupid. Here, play this clip.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective.
And now you have Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon basically saying it's Trump and Fox propaganda that's pushing for the U.S. to get involved in a war in Iran. Let's play it.
It does feel like Fox News is playing, and I never criticize Fox because they were so kind to me, but they are playing a central role in the propaganda operation here. It feels like.
It's what, let's go back to the Iraq War. I mean, you were there, you saw it. Look at the Iraq War.
I promoted the Iraq War.
Because of the information you were giving. Yeah. Knowingly what they did, if you go back to look at Iraq, it's not like these things are successful. They're not successful. They're unsuccessful. They can't be successful because, as Lincoln told us, what you need is popular opinion to have your back. And we don't do enough about educating the American people on what reality is. In fact, they give them the exact opposite. That's why it's all, that's what, this is, the rise of Trump is from two things. The rise of Trump is from the failed Iraq War and from the 2008 financial collapse.
Exactly.
You had Buchanan before that. We had Perot before that. We had even Reagan for some populism nationalism. You had these sprouts there. You could see people were trying to get there, but they couldn't. It was those two cataclysmic events, right? An epic failed war, right? That we were lied to about everything, the reason we went in. Because remember, at first, the American people supported it, given the information they were given. Then later, they realized that, hey, not just was the initial predicate for this a lie, all the updates were kind of a lie, right? All the updates were a lie. We really weren't winning. right? Until we sent General Kelly to the Anbar province to be the toughest tribe, it took forever. And 8,000 dead, 50,000 wounded, $9 trillion, $7 trillion in Iraq and $2 trillion in Afghanistan. You're just lied about the entire time. That's what's happening here.
And I thought this was a powerful speech by Democratic Senator Tim Kaine. Here's what he said. The Constitution says the power to declare war is Congress. Play this clip.
There's no part of the Constitution that's more important than the Article 1 provisions making plain that the United States should not be at war without a vote of Congress. And yet the news of the day suggests that we are potentially on the verge of a war with Iran. When I was elected to the Senate in 2012, having served as a governor from 2006 to 2010 during a tremendous upsurge in the two wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, I visited our troops multiple times in the Green Zone in Baghdad and in Afghanistan. I went to the deployments and the homecomings. I went to the wakes and the funerals. And I told myself when I came to the Senate that if I ever had the chance to stop this nation from getting into an unnecessary war, I would do everything I could to stop us from getting into an unnecessary war. I happen to believe that the United States engaging in a war against Iran, a third war in the Middle East since 2001, would be a catastrophic blunder for this country. I think there are some in this body who have a different point of view than me on that point, but I think we should all be able to agree that the fundamental constitutional principle that says we shouldn't be in a war if Congress doesn't have the guts to debate it and vote on it, we should all, having taken an oath to the Constitution, at least support the principle that war is something that should be for Congress to declare.
Or Democratic Senator Murphy from Connecticut. Here's what he's got to say.
Anyone who is cheerleading the United States into a war with Iran has very quickly forgotten the disasters of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War, where there were early tactical successes, but it became a quagmire that ultimately got thousands of Americans killed, created new insurgencies against U.S. interests and against our allies in the region. So I do not think there's support in this country for the United States to go to war again in the Middle East. And I would remind the president that he can't take any offensive action against Iran without coming to Congress first. He has no leeway here. The Constitution requires him to get an authorization of military force from Congress. I don't think that he'll get that authorization from this Congress because there is opposition on both the Republican and Democratic side to the United States getting dragged into another potentially disastrous conflict in the Middle East.
So as I said, there is a social media post or tweet for everything regarding Donald Trump, but I want to pull out those receipts. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, but I'm just giving you the videos and just giving you the data points. You tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.